We will present to you like how to build an AWS solution architect agentic app using Amazon Bedrock.
Thank you, Amina. So let's start with a few questions. How many people here have already used Amazon Bedrock? Can you show me some hands? Perfect, great.
Nice.
And who has built or deployed an AI agent? No worries. Thank you. So this session is for builders, but you will get covered even if you answered no to both questions.
Exactly. And there is indeed no better time to be a builder. I personally love this quote from our CTO, who you may have just seen the keynote. There is no better time to be a builder. You can imagine, like, rethink, rebuild everything that we have done in the past, leveraging generative AI and LLMs. We have an exciting agenda ahead of us. I will walk you through all the key concepts, and then Amin will show us the demo live. So I wanted to introduce you to our builder tool before we start. So from the very bottom, you have everything that you need in terms of infrastructure. So if you want to build something from scratch to deploy or train your AI model, you can use solutions such as Amazon SageMaker, which is our serverless solutions that will help you build, train your model. Then on top of this, you have Amazon Bedrock, so our fully managed serverless solution that will help you build GenAI and that we will be using later on in the demo. On top of this, you have everything related to the application. So you have Amazon Q Business that I personally use on my day-to-day work to automate some tasks or give me insights as well. And we have Amazon Q Developer, which is our coding assistant that can help you fix the code, suggest the code, and help you in your day-to-day as well. Let's focus a bit more on Amazon Bedrock. Customers have told us, like, one of the main features that they like about Amazon Bedrock is how easy you can access hundreds of models from top AI leading companies. In today's demo, we will be using Anthropic Claude, Amazon Premier, and Amazon Titan. Now, let's define together what is an AI agent before we even start, so everyone has the same knowledge before we move forward. So an AI agent is an autonomous system that will make decisions based on his environment and on his interaction. He will adapt. I'd like you to think about it not as a binary thing, but more like a spectrum. It's not about, oh, this is an agent, or this is not an agent. We are more about spectrum where it can be fully autonomous agent, semi-autonomous, and it's really the combination between AI intelligence and human intelligence working together to achieve a common goal. So now that we know all of this, why should you build an agentic AI system?
Good question.
So I've gathered for you like 4 main reasons. The first one is how it will help you solve most of complex tasks that you may have. The AI agent will be able to analyze your current infrastructure, your requirement, and will be able to suggest the best optimal solutions. The second one is how, like, it's basically as if you have like a 24/7 AWS solution architect, monitoring your infrastructure, suggesting or flagging error as well, and then suggesting solutions. By automating tasks as well, you will be able to save a lot of time. This time will be good for your team to focus on more high value or innovation, and the time-consuming task can be done by AI, basically. Last but not least, the ability to scale. You can have like multiple agents running at the same time who can, for example, we'll see later, like analyze the review, like the architecture, suggest different diagram, and so. So now that you have a good understanding of all of those key elements, let's put that into practice. I will leave it to Amin for the technical part of it.
Thank you, Amina. those are very important concepts that we will use in our demonstration. So I want you to keep them in mind once we start building together. There are four key components why we need to build agents: problem solving, efficiency, scalability, and autonomy. So let's think about a scenario. You are a lead architect, for example, for a big company or a small company, whatever, that is fast growing, and you have hired a lot of people in the last 6 months. So these people, they don't have the same AWS expertise as you have. And they will stop you a lot in order to get answers to some routine questions that they may have, or some complex architecture that they need to build for their business use case. So what if you had an agent that can help you with that? So what we'll be building today is an app. So it is an agentic app which is using an AI agent to do 3 things here. So query AWS documentation, deploy infrastructure on your behalf on AWS, and create diagrams from complex ideas. We'll be using three models, as Amina mentioned. We'll be using Amazon Titan for embeddings, Amazon Premier, which is our latest and most capable model, and Anthropic Claude. So Amazon Premier will be used for the agent logic and decision making. Remember, it should be somehow autonomous. And Anthropic Claude will be used for code generation. I use the word embeddings. How many people here know what does embedding mean when applied to machine learning? Perfect. For those who don't know, embeddings are the facts, or embedding is the concept of changing the text or storing it as a numerical value in the form of a vector. So this is very useful for computers because it allows them to do search capabilities better than if we store the text simply as a string. So it is very useful for natural language processing materials and use cases. So let's keep that in mind because we will be using it in our solution here. So what we'll be building is one user that it is going to query our Bedrock agent using Bedrock API. This agent will have 2 action groups at its disposal. So it will be autonomously trying to decomplex the problem that will be given it, or the query of the user, and using either one action group or the other action group, depending on the task. We're giving it other tools, like one knowledge base that is local, and one knowledge base that is managed by Amazon Bedrock, in addition to the models that we mentioned earlier. Now, let's switch to the demonstration. So the first use case is how to get some information from the well-architected framework. So here I asked my agent, what are EC2 spots best practices? So before we go into the answer that it gave us, let us see how we built this thing. So the web interface that you saw, for those who know, I used Python and I used VS Code. It's up to you to use your favorite IDE or language for programming. I used Streamlit in order to quickly show visualizations of my Python scripts. And then we used Boto3 in order to talk to our AWS services using APIs. I want you to focus on this specific block here, where we invoke the agents. So for this, we need the agent ID. We need the prompt that is coming from the user, which is the query in this case, and a session ID in order to maintain the history of the responses and the exchange with the server. I want you to keep in mind that the response that is coming from the agent, as you can see here, it is a stream. So we need to do a loop inside this stream in order to get the full event. If we do it only one time, we'll get a chunk of the response. So how do we build this agent? So if I go to my AWS console, I'm using Amazon Bedrock here. I have created the following agent. Let us go and see what it looks like. So while it's loading, so as we said, we want it to be autonomous. So we gave it Nova Premier as a model to use, and we gave it some instructions. Because if we give it only the model, it will be giving some responses that we cannot really handle or expect. So we're giving it the following instructions. I want you to focus on 2 things. It is an AWS Solutions Architect, and you will be a Python developer with expertise on diagrams library. And also, I am telling the agent to always check with its Python imports with the knowledge base that I'm giving it. So this is the first thing we give to the agent. The second thing is, so we are querying well-architected. We need this data. So we are getting it from the well-architected framework. So here, we'll get the data, we'll store it in a value called text, and then we'll embed this text in order to do search on it. So how are you going to get the well-architected information? I am using what's called a sitemap. So if I open an example here, this is showing all the HTML files that are storing the well-architected documentation. So everything related here to security, for example, you will find it in those links. So we'll take this information, we'll store it in a value, and then we will call a function that we created that is embed text. I want you to focus on the first thing here. We are using Bedrock to do the embedding, but we are using an external database called FICE. FICE is an open source vector database from Meta, and we are using it to store this information. So we embed the information and we store it in the local database. So our result will be a final database in which we are going to store this data. Later on, we'll give other tools to the agent. Specifically, I want you to look at this AWS well-architected tool, where it is going to open this FICE vector store, and it will run specifically this similarity search. So it will search within the vector store what is something that is similar to the query that the user have given it. And then it will call Claude in order to prepare the response back to the user. So if I go back to the result, we can see that, all right, that's great. It gave us some of the most important best practices when working with the Spot instances. Specifically, we can mention handle interruptions, because Spot instances per nature are interruptible, so your code needs to be able to handle this.
That's great. I mean, thank you. But I'm having a question here, like, how do we know the agent used the well-architected framework to reply?
Thank you. That's a great question. So if you look at what the agent have given us, it gives a rationale, because it is doing reasoning. So it will explain what are the steps that it took in order to give the response. I want you to focus on one thing here, specifically. It used this specific API call. Okay. What is this agent AWS API? I haven't shown you this yet. So let's go back to our agent, and we will see that we gave it two action groups. Let's focus on the first one. Great, we retrieved that agent AWS API that the agent used. So what is it? It's a Lambda function. So remember the code that I showed you earlier? We packaged it into a container, into an image, sorry, and then we sent it to Lambda. And this Lambda function that we created will use this tool and make it available to the agent. But how is the agent going to interact with the Lambda function? So for this, we are using Open API. So we gave the agent a schema where we tell it, you can call our Lambda function using this API call, for example, which is query well-arch framework. And I want you to respond in a certain way. This is the response that I expect from the agent which is calling the Lambda function. And then the generate code API call, if I want it to generate code, it will use this Lambda function again with Claude Anthropic to generate the code. So just remember, the code I showed you, we packaged it, we sent it, we created a Lambda out of it, and we gave this Lambda as a tool to our agent so that it can answer to our query. The second use case I want to show you, let's start a new session so that we don't have any previous history from the model. So using Python diagram library, I want you to create a diagram for me that is going to show a video encoding process of a file that is stored on S3. So I didn't tell my agent what's the services that it needs to use, except the fact that S3 bucket is there, and this is where my file will be stored. So for this, I want you to look into one thing. Remember, I told you that we are giving knowledge bases to this agent. So here I am using a knowledge base this time that is managed by Amazon Bedrock. So in the first example, we used FICE, open source knowledge base, but now we are using a managed knowledge base from Amazon Bedrock. And as you can see, I just created a file in S3 bucket, which is containing all of the imports that are available in the diagram library, so that my agent will not make an error when it is generating the diagrams. It needs to give me a Python code that I can run, and I am sure that it is usable. And again, we are using Titan text embeddings for the knowledge base.
And I mean, may I ask you, like, why did we choose the Bedrock knowledge base this time instead of the local one?
Good question. So in AWS, we like to give flexibility to builders. So you can either use the open source databases that are available and then build your own thing of it. But what I did, if you remember in the first code, I showed you a final DB. So this database, it is stored locally on my computer. And then I send it to Lambda function for the agent to use it. But that means that you will need to maintain this database, maintain the compute for it, handle all of the heavy lifting. With Amazon Bedrock knowledge base, it is our recommendation for production to use it because the heavy lifting is done from AWS and you can scale easily using the managed knowledge base. So now let's see if our agent gave us a very nice, beautiful. Look at the code it generated. It detected that it needs a Lambda function to run the question. It needs S3 buckets because this is where actually the file is stored, and also compute to run the actual compute power. So the agent is very autonomous here. I run it several times. Sometimes it is proposing media convert, which is a great choice if you want a managed solution for converting your audio file, your video file, and transcode it. But here it showed me this. So let's see how does this looks like. So if you go back to our solution here, so you don't need to look into the terminal. What I'm having here is just, I have two libraries. I have the diagrams library, Python diagrams library, and graph viz library, which are the two requirements needed to build diagrams in Python with AWS. So what I'm going to do here, I will just paste the code that I selected, which is this one, and we'll ask and this is a good demonstration of the autonomy that can come from the agent. Here it used a certain component, which is compute, that it is not actually existing in the library. It exists in a previous version. So I can show you some another example that showed it previously, which is this one. And this is, for example, a small diagram that the agent was able to build in order to show a simple use case. But just think about it. The agent here is really autonomous. I'm giving it instructions, but it is using the tools, and it will take actions depending on what it finds best for the use case. The final example that we want to show you today is how we can deploy something to our infrastructure using an agent. So again, we'll take the same logic. So here I'm asking it to deploy Lambda function that will look into the 5 top stories from the AWS blog website. So let's see this in action. While it is working, again, I'm going back to my code. This time, I created a new function. So this function will be a Lambda function, follow with me, that I will give to the agent as a tool. And then the agent will use this Lambda function to create the end and target Lambda function that will actually be the response to my user. So I want you to focus on the first thing here. In my function, I am using this deploy Lambda function. Behind the scenes, this deploy Lambda function will again use Boto3 to call the create function from the Lambda API. And if you look into this, we are using three things. Function name, so the name that we need for the Lambda function, the runtime, Python, for example, 3.9, 3.10, and the code. And where does this come from? It's my agent who will use it. So let's see how does the agent, again, use that. So if I go back to my agent, remember we gave it 2 action groups. So here, the second one is an action group that we'll be using for deploying Lambda functions. And same logic. We are using Lambda function, and we are giving it an open API schema. And specifically, I'm asking the agent to give these 3 required fields, because without them, my code will not run. And that's it. let's see what the code has done. Amazing. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? It deployed a Lambda function on my behalf. It gives me other instructions to understand what it actually did, and some improvements that I can do. For example, add an API gateway, and we can keep the conversation going with the agent so that we improve what you have demonstrated here. And again, it is given the reasoning. So if you look into the reasoning, you can see what tools it actually used in order to build this diagram. So again, it checks the diagram library because it has this knowledge, so it will always try to check it. Even if my question is about deploying a Lambda function, it will try to add the extra step and build a diagram for me. And I think that's all we wanted to show you for this demonstration. So now, it's here. There is something I didn't tell you about this demonstration, is that most of the code that you have seen, it was generated with Amazon Q Developer. And Amazon Q Developer is our solution that helps our developers to build very fast their applications and respond to their business cases. Now it's your turn. So you have seen how we can query or architect the frameworks, build diagrams using agents, and also deploy infrastructure on your behalf. So imagine you can use you can scan this QR code. It will give you a workshop, step-by-step guided. Or if you can talk also to your AWS representative if you want it to be done inside your company. You can follow it. You will find a link there to the GitHub repository that is containing all of the code. Most of the code actually that we built today is there. You can follow it. And I'm giving you some homework if you want to go to the extra step. Let's give it a diagram, okay? A ready diagram, and ask the agent to explain it to us. Go and play with it.
Exciting challenge. Thank you so much, Amin. As we wrap up the session, I wanted you to think about AI agent not as replacing solution architects, but most likely like giving them superpower to focus on innovation, focus on more business value. As this session is coming to an end, I will quote again.
Let me do it.
I will quote again Dr. Wagner, and now is your turn. Now go and build. Thank you all for your attention. And please feel free to scan our QR code, and let's keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you. Please fill the survey. You have some time before the next session, so you can fill it. Thank you.
Thank you.